All right, here we are. Hi, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And that was a home movie that was from the Oregon Archive. And you notice everybody was in fast motion. That is because the film was shot probably at 16 frames a second, and we scanned it as a default at 24 frames a second. And generally we slow it down, but I watched the first little bit of it and I wasn't sure of the speed, so I just kind of let it run. And then I can't change it while we're watching it because then it restarts. So I was like, yeah, we'll just go with it. The shot of the kid jumping up and down was actually kind of hilarious. So there's that. Let's see. We learned about southwestern states. I think it's time to learn about north central states. Can you guess what the north central states are of the United States? Anybody? I have no idea. Enjoy.
If we were to fly over the north central states, we'd see something like this. Many fields of corn, wheat, soybeans, and other crops. At intervals over the countryside, we'd see agricultural towns and villages whose tree-lined streets resemble patches of forest amid the outlying croplands. We'd see industrial centers, such as Gary, Indiana, with its great steel mills. We'd see Great Lakes freighters with cargoes of iron ore and coal. Networks of railroads lead the way to big cities, cities such as Chicago. And in this city, we'd be at the center of the great region called the Midwest, which includes most of the north central states. Within the great central lowland of the United States is the area we call the north central states. The north central states consist of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Tying the region together is a network of waterways, including the Mississippi River and its great tributaries, the Ohio and Missouri. Perhaps the most important waterways are the Great Lakes. Most of the central lowland is generally flat. There are hills in the southeast and forests in the north. Here is a region that was greatly affected by continental glaciation. Thousands of years ago, during the Great Ice Age, vast continental glaciers slowly advanced over this part of America several times. The moving ice carried great quantities of earth material from some areas, such as the Great Lakes basins, and deposited it elsewhere. Thus, a deep layer of gravel, clay, and other earth materials were left as the ice slowly melted, uncovering the central lowland. Today, the central lowland is the most productive region of the United States. Immense stretches of both level and rolling land. The north central states include the great corn belt of the United States, with its center in Illinois and Iowa, as well as most of the wheat belt, which extends westward into the Dakotas and Nebraska, and south into Kansas and Missouri. This is part of the great food basket of the United States. In North and South Dakota, farmers grow spring wheat. Now in August, this wheat is being harvested with a reaper. This wheat farmer is running a threshing machine that picks up the cut grain and threshes it. Often, reaping and threshing are done with a combine in one operation. The hired man is loading wheat into a truck on the field. Like most farmers, they're eager to see what the harvest is like, so they take a close look at the wheat. At the same time, other farmers elsewhere are doing other jobs. Here is a dairy farmer of Wisconsin. His fine herd grazes on rolling hills green with grass. Most of the milk from this herd is sold to factories, where cheese, a famous Wisconsin product, is made. In another part of the state, at the university's College of Agriculture, the farmer's son is studying the latest methods of scientific dairy farming. A different farm and another farmer tell us more about the Central States. This is a corn farm in Iowa. Most of the corn is used to feed a herd of fat hogs, as well as fine beef cattle. This Iowa farmer is telling his sons that the cattle he bought from a western ranch have now been fattened enough to sell. And he explains that these fine Herefords will soon be on their way to the big stockyards of Chicago, or perhaps to Kansas City or Omaha. From such packing centers comes most of the meat supply of the nation. The wheat we saw on the Dakota farm is also sent to cities. From the grain elevators where it is first stored, it usually goes by rail to such milling centers as Minneapolis. This city is one of many important distribution centers. Most important distributing center is Chicago, centrally located city of the Midwest. Chicago is one of the great transportation centers of the world. Through this city passes much of the nation's food, especially grain and meat. These are some of the railroads that carry foodstuffs into Chicago, and also carry manufactured goods out to almost all parts of the country. Just as the railroads bring produce from the farms, they take back to the farmer the machinery and other goods he needs. The farm machinery made in Chicago and other industrial cities is only one of the many manufactured products of the north central states. For the Midwest is also an important industrial region. Cedar Rapids, Iowa makes cereals and cattle feed. Grand Rapids, Michigan is a furniture manufacturing center. In Toledo, Ohio, glass products are made. In another Ohio city, Akron, the manufacture of rubber tires is a leading industry. One of the most vital industries is the making of iron and steel in such cities as Gary, South Chicago, and Cleveland. From the mills, steel is shipped to be used in the huge plants in Detroit, where automobiles are made. On an assembly line, many products are combined to produce well-built, efficient, and handsome cars, automobiles that are one of America's most famous products. Here is a skilled worker in an automobile plant in Detroit. At the end of the day, he and his son, who also works at the plant, go home. His family is one of many thousands of families that depend on the automobile industry for a living. The cars they make are shipped all over the world. Again, we see the importance of transportation. Cars go by trailer truck as well as by lake freighter. These ships carry a steady stream of manufactured products as well as raw materials. A vital raw material is iron ore. This freighter at Duluth, Minnesota is being loaded with iron ore for the steel mills of Gary or Cleveland. The ore being loaded here at Duluth comes from another place in Minnesota, from the famous open pit iron mines of the Mesabi Range. As the high-grade iron ore is gradually being used up, a low-grade ore, called taconite, is being mined and processed. From Minnesota and Wisconsin comes lumber, another raw material often transported by lake ships. Appalachian coal comes by rail to Lake Erie ports, especially Cleveland and Toledo, where it is loaded in ore boats to be shipped north over the lakes. Not only raw materials, but finished products are carried. This is newsprint from Canada, being unloaded at Chicago. During the summer, many lake freighters pass through the Sault Ste. Marie Ship Canal between Lake Superior and Lake Huron. The Soo locks handle more tonnage than the Panama and Suez canals combined. Great Lakes shipping has stimulated the growth of many cities. Among them are Duluth, Chicago, Gary, Detroit, Toledo, and Cleveland. Shipping lanes tie together these cities around the lakes. Around these lakes, too, is a region of diversified farming. This is a celery farm in Michigan. There are many truck farms specializing in growing vegetables. The Great Lakes region is also a fruit-growing region. These are peach trees in Michigan. This is a cherry orchard in Wisconsin. Wisconsin and other lake states are also famous vacation lands. To the lakes of Minnesota come many fishermen in the summer. The forests of Michigan are another favorite recreation place. To reach these scenic lands, people often drive, using highways like this one. These highways, like the railways and lake ships, help transport the many products which this great region, the North Central states, produces. Remember what we saw in the region. The North Central States region is the food basket of the United States, providing wheat, corn, beef cattle, swine, dairy products, and fruit. The region includes many centers of industry: steel, automobiles, furniture, farm machinery, rubber, glass, and many others. These things are distributed through a system of transportation. Do you remember what some of the distributing centers are? Can you tell what role the Great Lakes play in transportation? What are some of the foodstuffs and products shipped by rail? We saw that the North Central States was a region of vast and productive farmlands. Do you remember why parts of it are level, like this? Or hilly, like this? There is much more to read and learn about this region, and about the people who have helped make the North Central States one of the richest and most productive areas in the world.
How exciting. There I am. Yeah, so those, in general, the geography stuff seems a little dry, but it captures so much of the history of these different regions and how they used to look and what they're dealing with now, like how, are the industries that those cities known for, those states known for, are they still there anymore? Has it shifted? How do they do with that? It's interesting to me from a historical standpoint. Plus, the narrator gets so excited. All right, so behind me I have a film scanner set up right there. You can't see it. It's right there. I put it on a core, which is one of these things that the film sits on, because the reel itself was bent, and running it it would just go and it would catch, and then it would just stop. So, what do we have? What is this film called? This is a mystery film. So, see if you can figure out what it is. Enjoy. Well, I guess I'm telling you what it is because the title is right there. Anyways. That was insane. That just kind of made this weird spinny noise. Hold on.
Peace be unto you, Simeon. You look weary.
Peace be unto you also, Anna. I am weary, but not weary of looking for the redemption of Israel.
Yet it's nearly 80 years since our land had prosperity or happiness. 80 years, Simeon.
Memories are precious, though they be those of many years past. Even though today we have Herod, whom men call the Great, to rule us under Rome. Yet our memories remain, and we have hope.
You always said you would not die until you had seen the Lord's Christ, he who is to be the Redeemer.
And because of that, you and I wait daily in these courts for his coming.
How can salvation come? These birds for offerings, this merchandise for gain, here in the very temple courts.
Yet it is written, my house is the house of prayer, that the day of the Lord is at hand.
Hail, thou that art highly favored. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end.
How shall this be?
The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the Highest shall overshadow thee therefore. Also that holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord. Be it unto me according to thy word.
Oh, Mary. Oh, Elizabeth, my cousin. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Whence is this to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? And blessed is she that believed, for there shall be a performance of those things which were told her from the Lord.
By order of the divine Caesar Augustus, Imperator, and the Senate and Roman people, be it known that on the calends of December, a census of the population of Judea will be taken. Each clan will be numbered at its own town, to which it must repair by this date. The clan of Naphtali to Zebulun, the clan of David to Bethlehem, the clan of...
Shepherd, we travel to Bethlehem for the census. Is this the road?
Yes, brother. Straight on over the hill. When you come to the guardhouse, take the road to the left.
Thank you, brother. Good night.
Good night.
Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day, in the city of David, a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.
Didst see the angel? Didst hear the message to go to Bethlehem?
The city of David.
Then let us go now,
A Savior.
which is Christ the Lord.
A babe lying in a manger.
I see that there are 3 new kings in Jerusalem tonight.
Silence, you fool. How long are you in this city?
3 months.
When you've been here as long as I have, you'll realize there's only one king in Herod's palace.
What do you mean?
Well, he murdered his wife, he murdered his father, he murdered his brother, and he murdered his son. There is only one king.
Only one king.
You know what Augustus said. Better be Herod's sow than Herod's son.
You give sweetness to this grape.
O King, the Lords Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar await your answer.
Answer? What answer? Oh, let them approach.
Greetings, O King. Where is he that is born King of the Jews?
King of the Jews? I am the King of the Jews.
But we've seen his star in the east and are come to worship him.
Search ye the prophets for this new king and the star.
They know not themselves where to find it.
Oh, fools.
In Bethlehem of Judea shall he be born. For thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Thus spake the prophets. Interpret it how you will. Go and search diligently for the young child, that I may come and worship him also. In Bethlehem of Judea shall be born another king.
Greetings, shepherd. We have come to hail the Savior.
They wish to see the child.
Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Peace be unto you.
Peace be unto you.
Peace be unto you.
Give me the child now, so that I can present him to the priest when he comes.
May I see your child? We have come for me to make my own offering, and for the child to be presented to the Lord.
Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace, according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared before the face of all people, and the Gentiles, and to be the glory of thy people Israel.
This is the place of the star. We've come to worship the child. Accept, O child, this gift of gold, which I, Caspar, bring unto thee in token of thy kingship. Balthasar presents unto thee frankincense to manifest thy divinity. Melchior offers thee myrrh.
Myrrh?
Myrrh from the forest, which foreshadows thy suffering in the redemption of the world.
I know the law and the prophets. How do you know this prophecy is to be fulfilled at this time?
We too have seen the star, O King, It shines over against Bethlehem.
The order. Go now to Bethlehem and take this order. Ye also shall seek out every child of the age of this babe whom they call the King of the Jews. These shall ye slay, and seek it, that not one of them be spared. Go.
Hurry, we're for Bethlehem with special orders.
Orders for Bethlehem, nearly 2 leagues and on a cold night.
And the angel said, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Is this the road to Bethlehem?
Yes, straight on over the hill. When you find your comrades, they'll help you.
Thank you, Shepherd.
Out of Egypt have I called my son.
Jesus Christ. Let's see, now I have something happened over the summer where my my transition glasses have gotten worse, so now I've got readers, and those are horrible. They give me almost as bad a headache as the other ones. Yeah, I didn't know how far that was going to go, where it was going to take up. But I also didn't expect singing. I did not think that there was going to be a song in there. The chorus of angels was pretty awesome. I very much like that. What do we got? Oh, okay. This is how we elect our representatives. And this is a reminder to please register to vote, or to check your registration so that you can vote. It is a big pain in the butt to vote, but it is very important that you do that. If there's no other thing, even if you don't donate to AV Geeks or support us with a thumbs up, please vote. You guys are smart, and so vote. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, here's a film about how to vote And I don't know if this came out before the voting age dropped to 18 or not. Here we go.
When we read about elections, we usually think about the obligation of citizens to vote. At least, that's what Mary Carter is thinking about. She has just turned 21 and is eager to take part in the coming election. The following morning, Mary arrives at the registration place for her precinct. There is usually one registration place for every 200 or 300 voters. The purpose of registration is to make sure that only those people vote who are legally entitled to vote. Is Mary a citizen of the United States and over 21? Has she been a resident of her state for 1 year? Does she meet the requirements of residence in her county and precinct? These are some of the voting requirements in Mary's state. Mary is asked to swear or affirm the truth of her statements. The registrar asks Mary to sign registration cards. She signs the cards with the same signature she will use on the day of the election. This completes her registration. Mary is now entitled to vote in the coming primary election. In the primary, Mary will help choose candidates who will run later in the general election. Several candidates within each party are running for nomination to the same office. Which candidates will get the party nominations will be decided by the coming primary election. As the primary campaign continues, Mary reads newspapers of different political opinions to get an objective view of the candidates' qualifications. She studies brief descriptions of the offices to be filled. Mary also finds samples or specimens of the ballots to be used, as well as diagrams of voting machines for precincts that have these instead of paper ballots. Discussing the election and the various candidates with others helps to clarify the issues involved. Debates and discussions on television help the voter get better acquainted with the candidates. Handbills and pamphlets put out by various nonpartisan groups and by the candidates themselves describe the candidates' qualifications for office. Deciding how to vote requires critical thought. Mary makes notes to help her select the candidates and the party she will support in the primary election. Primary day is an exciting day for Mary. Near the polling place, but not closer than the distance set by law, party workers are passing out sample ballots and handbills, recommending their candidates. Mary votes at the same place she registered. Voting procedures are specified by law. Election judges and clerks are in charge of the polling place to see that all voting is properly done. Once again, Mary must sign her name. This signature is checked against her signature on the registration records to be sure she is qualified to vote. Then the card is passed along to the election judge. There are 2 ballots, one for each party. Mary is given one of these, the ballot of the party she has chosen. In the privacy of the voting booth, Mary will vote for the candidates who will represent her party. Meanwhile, party watchers look for irregularities to prevent possible voting violations. When Mary has indicated her choices for party nominees, she presents her ballot to an election judge and her vote is cast. The winners in the primary election will be the candidates in the general election. Now the nominees of each party put on intensive campaigns to win votes in the general election. Although in the primary Mary declared herself for one party, she is not bound to vote for its candidates in the general election. There are the candidates of the other parties to consider for the general election, to compare their views on important issues. Mary listens to as many of their speeches as she can, and she discusses their relative merits with her friends. By the day of the general election, Mary has informed herself about the candidates of all parties and is ready to mark her ballot. Now, how Mary votes is her private concern. Her state allows her, if she chooses, to vote for all the candidates from one party by putting an X in the box at the top of the party list. This is no longer permitted in some states, and the voter is required to mark each candidate separately. This encourages voting for individuals regardless of party. With a voting machine, the process is similar, except that instead of marking boxes with a pencil, levers are moved opposite the names of the candidates. When voting hours are over, the polling place is closed and the election officials prepare to count the votes. The box is unlocked and the ballots are taken out. Generally speaking, only the election officials and party watchers are allowed to be present when the votes are counted. Election officials are the only ones permitted to handle the ballots. The election clerks mark the count on their official tally sheets. Because regulations vary among the states, it is very important that a voter mark his ballot accurately to meet the exact requirements of his state. If a ballot is marked for a straight party ticket and for separate individuals of another party, it may be discarded in many states. A vote for an individual office may be invalidated if an X is marked outside a box, or if marks other than an X are used. Ballots may also be invalidated if 2 candidates are marked for the same office. If a ballot has any mark identifying the voter, the entire ballot will be invalidated. Usually very few ballots have to be discarded because most are correctly marked. When all the ballots are tallied, the votes are totaled. When a voting machine is used, the votes are totaled automatically. The totals are read from counters on the back of the machine and then entered on tally sheets. The tally sheets from voting machines and from paper ballots are sent to city or county election headquarters. Here they are added to the returns from other local polling places. These figures are then sent to state election officials who make the final count and declare the candidates with the highest number of votes winners in the election. After the election, Mary is eager to learn the outcome. She has fulfilled her first obligation as a citizen by voting. And many of the candidates she supported have won. Mary has done her part in maintaining our democratic system by helping to elect her representatives.
Oh, wow. I got one more film, but we're going to see if it will load okay, because it is... So this is on a core, and we have seen what happens when that core pops and film goes everywhere. It's like spaghetti, but not delicious spaghetti, like really horrible spaghetti that doesn't break, and it's just a big pain in the butt. So this, you can put reels on this scanner, but if they're recessed like this, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. So we'll see what we can get away with here. Fingers crossed. Is it going to be worth it? I don't know, but I'm going to sit and talk to you while we do this. Yeah, you know, I know I'll be going over time, but that's okay. But in the meantime, why don't you hit that thumbs up button, because you get to actually see me thread this, and you get to see how the sausage is made. It's fun until it's a pain in the butt. Let's see. Alright. See if this works. This is very faded. I think it might work. This thematically might work with the other film that I showed, but we'll see. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Ralph Hewlett. Welcome to my studio. Well, the time of the year again is upon us when we all become aware of a fellow with a white beard and wearing a red suit from head to toe. Since his spirit is so much a part of our lives during this season, I thought you would be interested in getting better acquainted with him. Now, to the children, he means one thing, and to the parents, quite another. But to everyone, he represents the spirit of kindliness and generosity. If you will come with me to the easel I have set up, we'll get started with his portrait. While I'm sketching in his head and figure, I'd like to tell you something about his family tree. A long, long time ago, about 300 AD, there lived a good and kindly man by the name of Nicholas. He was born in Patara, which was a town in Asia Minor. When he became an adult, he was made the bishop of a town close by called Myra. He was credited with many miracles of healing, but because of his strong Christian beliefs, he was thrown into jail for a short time. There's one story that is told that on 3 successive nights he tossed bags of gold through the windows of 3 maidens who did not have the money for a dowry. Without this gold, they would not be able to marry. This story, it is believed, started the custom of giving gifts at Christmas time. The Dutch also adapted the custom of the Eve of St. Nicholas, which was a time for secretly giving gifts to loved ones and friends. There was also another tradition in Holland that if a boy or girl had not been good during the year, Sinterklaas would only leave a bundle of sticks in their shoes. Sinterklaas, by the way, is the Dutch word for St. Nicholas. Incidentally, I'd like to explain to you how Sinterklaas, or St. Nicholas, got his American name. When the Dutch came to America and founded New Amsterdam, which is now New York City, they brought with them many traditions, including their Christmas tradition of Sinterklaas. All the English-speaking children tried to pronounce the Dutch name for the saint, but they said it so quickly and excitedly that Sinterklaas changed to Santa Claus, or Santa. In other countries, St. Nicholas has taken other forms. In England, for example, many of the children believe in Father Christmas, who brings them gifts. To them, he is a gentleman dressed in a long tail coat and a square beaver hat. German children speak of Kris Kringle. And in France, he is known as Père Noël, or Father Christmas. But to all children in Christian lands, he stands for the kindly spirit that the Christ child brought into the world. Uh-oh, Santa doesn't look very happy. It's my fault, Santa. I must have been paying more attention to talking about you than drawing you. Can you look just a little happier? Come on now, smile. Ah, that's much better. Now, if you could do a little jig or something with a bounce, we would have a much happier, jollier portrait. That's great. Now if you'll do that routine once more, and when I say stop, you hold that pose. Now get ready to stop. That's perfect. Just hold still and I'll mix some paint for the background. You notice that I'm painting the background with a warm gray color. The main reason I chose this color is to give Santa the best possible chance to look bright and gay. Also, the more simple the background, the easier it will be to see Santa. If we can remember that in art, as in other walks of life, simplicity and honesty are of the utmost importance. Later on, when I paint his brilliant red coat and his white beard, he should stand out from the background and be full of life. Now that the background is nearly completed, let's start thinking about that red coat. First, I'll dip the brush into some cadmium red and add just a pinch of white to lighten the hue or color. This red will be used for the main areas of his hat and coat. I suppose we all have wondered why red and white are the accepted colors for Santa Claus. Well, many years ago, when St. Nick was very young, these two colors were associated with the bishops of the church. That's a good enough reason, I'm sure. But I like to think that the red represents the gay, happy feeling of life itself. Red is also a color with a lot of vitality. Maybe that's the reason so many people like it. Of course, the spirit of this little character is the essence of warmth, fun, vitality, love, and generosity, all wrapped up into one round little package. Next, I'll mix a darker shade of red for the shadows and wrinkles in his costume. This color will help give us the form in our round little fellow. I mentioned that it would be used to suggest form or roundness. Well, this is my opportunity to give him a round little belly that shakes when he laughs like a bowl full of jelly. Next, we'll have to paint your boots. An elf like yourself can't go sliding down chimneys wearing white boots. Well, Santa, you've been very patient. Shall I paint your head next? I guess you've noticed that Santa doesn't talk very much. Of course, when you're posing for a portrait, you should be very quiet. Aside from that, though, Santa is the kind of person who spends so much of his time working and doing nice things for other people that he has very little time to talk. Now we're ready to paint your features, Mr. Claus. Eyes first, then nose and mouth. Let's see, how does that poem go? Oh, yes. His eyes, they must twinkle, his dimples be merry, and his cheeks are like roses, and his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth is drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin is as white as the snow. Just a few more touches and we'll be through, Santa, and I'll bet you'll be happy about that. Uh-oh, I didn't paint the fur trim on your coat or the tassel on your cap. Just a second and I'll get that done. Then we'll really be finished and ready for fun. Hold very still now. Now we are finished. There you are. Does the result make you happy? Oh boy, you really are happy to be freed from that canvas. Hey, Santa. Santa, come on back. It seems to me that the least you could do is give us a little act or something to show your appreciation.
Merry Christmas!
Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of research here. Where am I? And we're going to go longer because Ralph Hewlett. Does any of you know that name? Because I was like, wait a minute, I know that name. And some of you talked about riff tracks and like, has this been shown on riff tracks? I don't know if it has, maybe. But this is the film. You guys were creeped out by that film. Well, get ready to be creeped out by this other film where Ralph Hewlett basically did the art on this. So Ralph Hewlett worked for Disney, and he made this film. Yes, Miss Cynthia, you called it. One Got Fat.
This story is about 10 rather close relations of ours who seem to get into almost exactly the same kind of trouble we do. All 10 of these jolly characters lived in the same neighborhood and were all good friends, generally speaking. Each of them had a bicycle, and each took care of his bicycle in exactly the way that he took care of himself. One day they held a group think and decided to have a picnic in a little park just 9 blocks away. Now that doesn't sound far, but a lot can happen in 9 blocks, right? Well, sound off out there. I said right? Right. So, they all ran home and made themselves sandwiches. I know that doesn't sound too likely, but of course, they're not quite human. Then they hurried back, all ready to go. Now, one of the 10 was a rather hungry type. His name was Slim Jim McGupney, and his picnic lunch was what you might call a portable banquet, right? Right. Slim knew that his big sack would be hard to handle, so he asked Orville Slump if he'd carry it for him. Orville had a basket on the rear of his bike. He was a good sort, and he answered, okay. Some of the others noticed this and asked him if he'd carry theirs, too. Orville answered graciously, well, I guess so. And naturally, everybody else did the same until Orville's rear basket looked like a chuck wagon. At last, they were ready to go, and at a given signal, they went. Now this is Ruthie Toot Jasperson. He had the newest bike in the bunch, and he was as proud of it as he could be. He made it a point to get in the lead, and there he intended to stay. It would seem that Ruthie Toot was a slam-bang go-getter headed for big things in life, right? Right. But when you have to be first all the time, there are a few things you find you don't have time for. Such things as making hand signals. Oh, he knew very well that bike riders are supposed to signal just like auto drivers. Hand down for slow or stop. Hand up for right turn. Hand straight out for left turn. But pretty soon, he began to feel silly making so many signals to stay out in front. So he skipped one to rest his poor old tired arm. Just one signal, once. At this point, Ruthie Toot Jasperson left the party. This charming little thing was actually christened Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy. She's a sweet and lovely girl, but she has a rather poor memory. Sometimes she forgets to brush her teeth. Sometimes she leaves homework at home. And sometimes she forgets to look at traffic signals. Now she knows that she should. She knows that she should ride just like auto drivers drive. But she's so busy being happy all the time that her little thoughts tend to wander and... Oh, dear, they're wandering again. Here she goes. Exit Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy. She forgot now and then. Now, let me introduce Philip Flugel. He's a star athlete, the president of his class, an honor student, and he has the handsomest profile in school. Just look at it, will you? Now, Flug, as his friends call him, has one little flaw in his character. He is very easily bored. Right now, he's asking himself why everyone has to go up this side of the street. It's so samey. So, proving that even a class president can make mistakes, he decided to ride against traffic. Oh, he knows that auto drivers never do this, and that he should follow the very same traffic rules. But he's in the mood to do something different. Anyway, there are no policemen around to see him. Philip Flugel is no longer bored. You've probably wondered about this fellow on foot. Well, his name is Mosby Pomegranate. He is splendid in dramatics, but he works so hard memorizing his lines that he doesn't get around to a lot of other things. He never made it down to register his bike and get a license for it. He knows very well that a license makes it easy to find out who he is if he's in an accident, and makes the bike easy to trace if it's lost or stolen. That's his trouble. Last week, while he was rehearsing the lead in King Kong, someone rode off with his bike. He went to the police, but of course they couldn't help him since it had no license or registration. He stomped out of the police station angrily, and he's been stomping ever since. Farewell, Mosby Pomegranate, victim of fallen arches. If you look carefully, you'll see Trigby Phipps. He's the smaller one in Eclipse, trying to make that bike go. His passenger is an old friend of ours, Slim Jim McDuffney. Slim Jim's bike recently collapsed from the effects of his diet, and Trigby, being a nice little fellow, agreed to ride him. Now, he knows that no auto driver would drive with a passenger in his lap. He also knows that you can't see ahead very well with someone on the handlebars, and that you can't control the bike well, and that you can't make signals either. Furthermore, it is tiring. Right? Right. So long, fellas. There seems to be a flaw in the buddy system. Meet Nellie Swybach. She's as nice as can be on foot. But when she gets on that bike, sweet Nellie becomes terribly impatient with other people's driving. Although there are only a few left now, she's having trouble sharing the street with them. So Nelbert is about to make a decision she'd never make if she weren't angry. There she goes. There she goes. She knows that riding on the sidewalk isn't allowed in her city and many others, and that even where it is, pedestrians always have the right of way. But Nelbert's upset, and she'd like to know just one good reason why she shouldn't take over the sidewalk all to herself. Nelbert Zweiback got her one good reason. Those noises you hear come from the transportation of Filbert Bagel. Filbert hates his old bike. He refuses to take care of it because his folks will probably give him a new one for his birthday. He can't see any reason for taking care of a heap of junk, even if he made it that way himself. He will in a moment, though. You see, he doesn't know it, but he'll find out that there's not a shred of a brake left. Now, Filbert would be the first to agree that if it's worth riding, it's worth taking care of. Right? Right. Quickly meet Stanislaw Higginbottom while you can. He's a nice boy, but he won't be with us long. You are now looking straight at Stanislaw Higginbottom. He has neither lights nor reflectors. Stanislaw just wasn't quite bright enough. All of which leaves Orville. He'll get fat, all right. And here's why he ended up with all these groceries that he doesn't really want. This was Rooty Toot Jasperson. Maybe you remember why he didn't make the picnic. He didn't signal, just once. Do you recall Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy? She forgot to watch the signals, just once. And good old Phil Flugel, he rode up the wrong side of the street, once. Mossby Pomegranate was the walking one. He didn't get around to registering his bike and getting a license. It would have taken him only a few minutes. The small one was Trigby Phipps, and his passenger was Slim Jim McGupney. They rode double into trouble. Who can forget Nelbert Swyback? She wanted to know one good reason why the sidewalks didn't belong to her. Then there was Filbert Bagel. He didn't take care of his brakes, so they didn't take care of him. And good old Stanislaw Higginbottom. No lights, no reflector, no Stanislaw. So that's why Orville Slump is picnicking alone today. He watched the signals, he obeyed traffic signs, he made hand signals, he rode alone, he stayed on the right side of the street, got a license, rode just like auto drivers drive, and kept the brakes and all in good condition. And he got fat. Of course, it was very lonely, but not as lonely as this. But then, as anyone can plainly see, he wasn't a monkey, right? Now, that sounds as if you really mean it, right?
So we went super long because Ralph Hewlett, the guy who was in the Portrait of Santa film, we saw him painting a portrait of Santa and telling the story, which he left out like the biggest part of St. Nicholas, and 3 kids being butchered to death by a unscrupulous innkeeper. And Anyways, he's responsible for those nightmarish monkey masks in One Got Fat. Really quite amazing. And I think at some point I got Hewlett's kid actually reached out to me via email. I should find him, because since I found this other film, he might be interested in seeing it. But anyways, wow. That's why I was like, let me squeeze this in, because I love a film about Santa. Let me tell you, love a film about Santa. But then I was like, oh, we have to watch One Got Fat. So there you go. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. You can donate via the Super Thanks button. You can go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. And we will see you tomorrow. Everybody take